today I'll be in this big thing behind me. So let me go show you what we've got here. We have a 9460 RT. This is not ours. Our 9510, the engine was having more problems, so they took it. This is a loaner from C&B Operations, and it works okay. It's not as good as our 9510. It doesn't have as wide of tracks and not as much horsepower, but it still works okay. And we're pulling the Karat 10 chisel plow. We got this earlier in the year. I think it was in the spring before we did any spring work. So let me tell you a little bit about this. It has discs up front, which is new for the Karat 10, which is super nice. And this little gauge here, it's kind of dusty because my dad's been running this for a long time. Yeah, this gauge is to adjust the discs up and down, so you can fine tune where you want the disc to be placed, which works great in high residue ground. Granted, this is just a hayfield, so there's not high residue because we've cut it, but we were in wheat before and it was about a foot tall and it works really good. It's got a whole bunch of shanks. I want to say there's 3 rows of shanks, and they've got some junk on them. Gets on there a little bit, lots of twine, but that won't matter, it won't hurt anything. 3 rows of shanks. I want to say there's like between 25 and 30 shanks. I can't remember how many, but we have 3 rows of shanks, all adjustable. You can adjust the angle front and back, and it's fully adjustable. These springs right here, how this works, this is the only chisel plow on the market that has these. So it hooks down here, and with these springs, it's always applying perfect down pressure. So these come straight up and straight down. And with these brackets, how they're mounted, you don't get any stress on your frame. So with our old chisel plow, we were always breaking the frame, our old John Deere chisel plow. These, we've never had an issue. And then back here, this is an upgrade on the Karat 10, is these finger discs in the back. They help just kind of smooth it out after the chisel plow goes through and rips it up. These smooth it out, and then you have the crumbler back here in the back. They're 2 different size baskets, so you get different speeds. But yeah, this crumbles and smooths it up really nice. But yeah, this is I think it's almost 20 feet wide. I think it's technically, I think it's a 6 meter, which is about 19.5 feet. But I'm just getting out here today, filling up. So we've got the fuel truck out here filling this thing up with fuel. It does go through a lot of fuel every day. I've got a grease gun in the back because you have to grease these every single day. And there's a bunch of points like where all the hydraulic rams hook up. And the most important point to grease is actually right back here. So this joint here, and then you have these rams here. So that's what you definitely want to grease every day because you don't want that to seize up. But yeah, we are running the Lemken Karat 10 today. So we're going to be working in this hay field. It's been in hay for a while and it's very hard. And normally with our 9510, we can go, I don't know, 6 miles an hour at full depth. But I know that this, I think we're actually having to go over it twice because this tractor with the narrower tracks, it's got 2 foot wide tracks instead of 3 foot wide tracks. It just doesn't pull as hard as our 9510. So we're having to go like half depth, and I'll play around with it. I may be able to go full depth here, but my dad was having to go half depth on the last field. Granted, the last field he did was a hay field that had been in hay for about 8 years. So really, really hard packed ground. But he had to go half depth, go over it, and then go full depth to go over it again. He had to go over it twice. So hopefully we can drop it down max depth because we got to work this. This thing will go down between 12 and 14 inches. We got to work it that deep for potatoes. This will be potatoes next year. So I'm going to get this greased up and we're going to get going here. All right, we're going now. It is a little, I feel like this cab is a little bit noisier than normal, than our other one, but yeah, we're going. I just had to go around this pivot right here and got a straight line. I had to drive over to the edge of the field to get a straight line for the GPS. So now we're rolling. This was last night. My dad came in and it was dark and the pivot was out, so he had to go around this pivot, and then he had a line over here, but it wasn't quite straight with the road on that side. So we're working. It's doing a pretty good job. The front line, you can see the front line of chisels. So they tend to trip up a little bit, and that's what that spring's for, helps push them back down. But that front line is hitting this hard compacted dirt, and it's kind of tripping them up a little bit. But yeah, you can see that as you get into hard patches, they start to trip up just a little. Now, normally that wouldn't be good because we wouldn't be able to get it worked up all the way deep. But basically, we're just trying to work it as deep as we can now. We're going to come back through in the spring and chisel plow this again before we come through with the planters. So we're just trying to get it worked up so all this hay and all the hay roots can kind of start to break down over winter. But yeah, we're going as deep as we can. You can see like this side is in this spot where we already did, so they're not tripped. The other side, they're all tripped up. But we are going as deep as we can go with this. We will have to go through this again in the spring, all the way deep, to make sure that it does get worked really well. But it's doing a good job. You can see that it works that hay up really good. And hay typically is really hard to work up. So, and this field has been in hay for 5 years. So there's been this field has been very compacted with all the vehicles and stuff driving on it for 5 years. And yeah, it's doing a pretty good job of working it up. We are going as deep as we can go. You can see that gauge right there. All the way up on that little red arrow is the full depth. So it's doing a good job. It's getting it worked up good. Now this tractor, we are only able to go 4.8. I have it set at 7, so it's going to do its best to go 7. But we're only going not quite 5 miles an hour. But it is hard ground. I wish we could get our 9510 out here and see how much better it would do, because I know that with the wider tracks and more horsepower, it would definitely do better. But we're doing as good as we can. But we're going to keep on going here. I'm going to do this section here, and then I'll probably move this pivot over a little ways and then do underneath the pivot, because I wasn't able to do that strip right there. But yeah, we're gonna keep on going here. Well, we have a little battle over here between an eagle and 3 crows. Okay, so I've been going for a little while. It's after lunch now, but I've done all this over here. Just worked my way across. We did have to make some adjustments, but I mean, look at that. This is hay. This chisel plow just does such a stinking good job. It's so nice. Like, it takes this hard packed hay and just makes it look like there was nothing really in here. And hay roots are extremely hard to like break up and kill, and it's still just working it up. You can see some of the hay roots down here a little bit, but for the most part, it's working it up. It's making it look like there wasn't much in here. It's going to be really good for planting potatoes next year. The adjustments we had to do, I was talking to my dad a little bit, and we decided that because those were tripping so bad in the front, that we decided we're just going to have to go over this field twice. So I lifted it up just a little bit, so now we're only at 7 on that little gauge right there. So we're not as deep as we can go, but we're going to go over it once at 7, and then we'll go over it again all the way as deep as it can go. That way we can actually work it good all the way down, because the Lemken equipment is high-speed equipment. So it works best when you're going the faster you can go. So right now I'm going about 6 miles an hour. Every once in a while it'll get up to 7. It just kind of depends on the field and how hard it is in different spots. At the other end of this field, it's kind of sandy, so it goes a little bit faster through that. So, but yeah, we lifted it up just a little bit. It's still doing a really good job. It's actually doing a little bit better job because we're going faster. The faster you can go, the more you can explode that soil and get it broken up and get it all worked in and worked together. But yeah, so we're going a little bit faster, but not quite as deep. And you can see those front tines are still wanting to bounce around a little bit. They're not tripping as bad as they were, but they're still wanting to bounce around just a little bit. I'm leaving a strip, but it's only on this one side when I'm coming back, and I cannot figure out why. I went in, looked at my offsets. There's no offsets. I have no idea why I'm leaving a little strip, because it shouldn't be. So I'm overlapping just a little bit on this side. I have no idea why, because I'm skipping. And the reason I'm skipping, well, normally I skip anyway just because it makes it easier to turn, but for this one, this has a 3-point hitch and our 9510 does not. Well, all of our hoses are right here. So when I turn to the right, it gets really close to hitting the hoses but doesn't quite hit. But if I turn to the left, it hits the hoses, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but it's worn all the rubber off the outside of the hoses. You can see all the metal braids of the hydraulic line. So I'm gonna have to make sure to tell everybody else, hey, don't turn left, because this 3-point hitch is hitting. If this was our tractor, we'd just take the 3-point hitch off and not run it, but we have not done that yet, because I just barely noticed that. We may end up taking it off, because I think we still have a few, probably about 600 acres or more to work up. The seagulls are sure liking all the worms that are getting poked out of the ground. I have no idea where seagulls live. If anybody can tell me where seagulls actually live, I never see them like nesting anywhere. But whenever we get the field equipment out, all the tillage equipment, they just come out of nowhere and just eat all the worms and bugs and stuff, and mice. But I have no idea where they actually live. So if you know where seagulls actually live, because I'm not near the sea, so I have no clue. But we're gonna keep on going here. We're gonna work all the way to this side, and then we'll just turn around and we'll just come back and across it again at max depth, get this worked up. If we could have worked this up like right after we harvested it, water it, work it up, it would have been better, would have worked a little bit better, but we were not able to do so. So yeah, we'll get her done. It's just gonna take some time. I'll probably get over halfway today, and then tomorrow we'll finish it and get working back. Hopefully finish this field tomorrow, but we'll see. It is nice to be out here in the tractor and not hauling manure, because, well, driving tractor is just so much nicer. Anybody who's driven tractor or driven manure truck or driven truck in general, it's just fun. It's fun to drive tractors. Also, I think today or tomorrow is going to be the last day of hauling manure, so they're still working with that drag line. And oh, see, we just got into some this is that sandy bit, so it's a little sandier, and the tractor just sped up to 7 miles an hour. So, but yeah, so we started manure with 7 trucks. We had the motor go out on one. We busted the rear door off of another one. Mine got a hole in the radiator, and so it's out. And then yesterday, another one of the trucks, it just shut off. It won't start. We don't know. The mechanic we usually have come out, he says that there might be he's had to fix some wires on it that have melted off by the exhaust or something before. So he kind of thinks it's that. Could be a fuel pump. I don't know. So yeah, we started with 7 trucks. We are down to 3 trucks. So luckily, with the drag line, and they're on a field that's really close, those 3 trucks can make so the drag line's not waiting. They can keep the drag line busy, so that's nice. But yeah, we're down to 3 trucks, and that's usually how it ends up. Almost every time we haul manure, we'll start with all the trucks working, and by the time we're done, we've got a few. Manure is very hard on everything, and mainly just like bouncing through the field, like this, just just rattles everything, breaks everything. That's usually what just destroys all the trucks. So we'll get all the trucks back in the shop and working great this winter, and then come springtime, we'll go right back into manure and break them all again. shout out to all of you guys in the comments, because we've demoed a bunch of newer John Deere tractors with different features and stuff. And there's this thing that we never really knew about. And like, these are the power shift transmissions. Well, somebody told us, hey, you know, you could just set your speed on this thing and go from 4 miles an hour. And then if you push this button, it jumps it up to 8 miles an hour, and you don't have to shift, you don't have to do any of that. You can get it all set auto. Well, we've never really used that. We never really knew how it worked, but thanks to you guys, we learned some new features on some of our tractors. Granted, this isn't ours, but two of our our 9510, I believe, has these same buttons. So we're definitely going to give that a shot when we get our 9510 back. But that was all thanks to you guys in the comments. So you guys are the best. Thanks for watching. Guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that video today. If you did, make sure you go down below and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out, and I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.